Ah yeah, the search for weird hi-fi equipment continues, and well, of course, old and outdated hi-fi equipment. So well, what do we have here? Now this is something that I recently found accidentally on eBay, and I was absolutely amazed by the idea, because well, first of all, I always wanted to have something like a small boombox or ghetto blaster, but I wanted to have something that is a little bit more special, and as you can probably tell, there is a TV inside this unit. And we have a big mono speaker on the top. So this is just a mono unit. I believe there's a different version which is even a lot bigger than this one, which yeah, is stereo and well also features the inbuilt TV. So well, what you're currently looking at right now is a Sharp 5P-27G radio cassette TV boombox or so. Well, the cool thing about this, it's fully portable. You can put in some D-cell batteries in the back and you can carry the whole thing on a big handle that is completely made out of metal, which is very durable. And it also serves as a small stand that goes below like so. Alright, now let's just have a quick overview of all the features we have on this thing. Of course, I'm going to start with the first and most interesting thing for me, well, a small black and white TV. Next to that we have the dials to actually set a frequency on this unit. This is for the TV, and as you can maybe already tell, this is analog, so it's gonna be a bit difficult to actually get our new digital TV that we are using at the moment onto this thing. But hey, you can hook up stuff to this thing. There's an antenna port on the side, which I'm going to show you later. Now below that we have FM and so on, so for radio. And here we have some big nice dials that move so. I'm not going to change this one because I have a set frequency on that, which I do need. We have the TV band for selecting various channels up to channel 69. And well, what do we have here? Well, we can select the various radio frequencies and also the TV as well. Next to that we have this, which is called AFC, and some other setting for the AM, which I'm not actually too sure about what this does, but yeah, gotta peek into the manual to actually see what it does. Here we have the main power switch, which is set to off tape. And then we have a sleep function, which I have no clue how you actually set that, because normally you can set a timer on the sleep function. And above that we have TV and radio. So, and what do we have above here? Well, this, where the label is a indicator for the battery, the tuning, and the level. So, yeah. And lastly, we have this. These are pretty much all the necessary buttons to operate the tape. Record, rewind, fast forward, play, stop, eject, and pause. All the others are very clunky push buttons. And below that we can select the balance between the source and the microphone, because you can actually hook some stuff up to this unit. We have the bass, since well, we got a nice big bass speaker on the top, treble, and the volume, most importantly. Now this thing is actually quite loud. I have tried it a little bit, and well, it does work. You just feel that something is really crackly when you move this, so well, what's the easiest thing to do when you realize that something is a little bit wrong with the contacts? Get yourself a big ass bottle of contact spray, and that's gonna last you for a lot of equipment, especially something like this. And yeah, let's have a look at the at the side of this unit. Now here we have all our various inputs and so forth. I'm not exactly too sure what most of these do, but I presume this is just output for another tape recorder, or maybe even an input. And yeah, headphone, microphone, and supposedly a remote? Not too sure. And I have no absolute clue what the speed button does. Well, maybe explain that later if I actually find a manual for this thing somewhere. And what do we have here? Well, here we of course we have our power sockets. This thing runs off 230 volts AC, and we also have a DC jack for 12 volts, presumably for hooking this thing up to a car battery or something like that, since, well, I'm pretty sure you could put this in your car. I mean, it's sort of compact and it is beefy, so it is loud, which is nice. And the back of the unit we have, not a lot, but we do have the battery compartment, which you have to lift the whole unit up to actually get it off. And there we go, 9 D-cell batteries inside this unit for 2 operate, which is, wow, quite a lot. Maybe gonna swap some things in here and modify it so it does a big massive lithium ion battery, which would definitely be quite an improvement, to be honest, since, well, that's a lot of batteries, and as you probably know, D-cell batteries are also quite heavy, especially if you're carrying 9 of those in one beefy equipment like this. I mean, the whole device itself is also quite heavy. And the last thing, well, just a label with a ton of warnings in German and so on and so forth. 220 volts. Well, we are using 230 here in Germany, but again, no worries. 12 volts DC and of course batteries. And yeah, also some other stuff about warning, because, well, we do have a cathode ray tube in here, so you should be a little bit careful when you actually open this thing, which I am gonna do, because there is a small fault in the unit and I do need to clean some stuff up. And this side. Now this is what I absolutely like about this unit. We have an antenna port. This means that we can actually hook up stuff to this thing without highly modifying it. Although I would also have loved to just have a simple, I have some simple change cables, video, audio right, audio left, and done. That's it. Which that would have been a lot better, I think. Or, well, additionally, maybe I can modify it so it has those as well, but I really don't want to destroy the case a lot. But anyways, already hooked some stuff up to that, like a Commodore 64, and it was absolutely awesome. And, well, of course, for the radio we have a telescopic antenna, which is also a bit long. Another button on the top. This is a small dial light, and that lights up the segment for the radio, where you can see the various frequencies you are tuning. There we have our main speaker, and as you can see, it is actually quite large. It's my hand, just about as large as my hand. And in the back, small tweeter, and of course our tape. Now remember one thing. The slower a tape deck opens, the better it is. Yeah. I'm not too sure about this. Seems this thing is a little bit eager to open. Let's switch on the power. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you the tape. Now if I take my tape where I have some copyright-free music that I've got from the YouTube audio library on here, and if I try to play that back on this unit with this exciting mechanism, and I press play, it does switch on and the tape does move, so the belts do seem to be alright. But I can turn the volume up as high as I want and I hear absolutely nothing but small noise in the background, which, yeah, weird. So that obviously doesn't work. But we can switch on the radio. I'm just going to tune through it very quickly.
Ergebnis kein Signal auf.
Yeah, as you can see, that that works just fine. And well, of course, let's warm up the CRT. And there we go. We are having static. Woohoo! So the TV is also working as well, just fine. Everything else on this unit is fully working. And yeah, only thing that doesn't work is the tape recorder. Let's just find out why. Let's just switch all the powers off and disassemble. There we go. There is the money shot. Just gonna get a little bit closer. Alright, this is it. Surprisingly, I find it a little interesting that the entire TV stuff is pretty much on its own. Well, it's not shielded. It is on its own board, which is good. Let's just get rid of this. This is pretty much it. I didn't suspect there would be a lot more in it, but well, it is fairly crowded in here, and they did a very good layout with the speakers and everything. So, well, where is the high voltage transformer? Not sure. Ah, there it is. All the way over there now. So I'm just gonna give out a hint, just stay away from all this stuff and you're gonna be fine. This is the stuff we are interested in, and that's also the entire low voltage stuff. So while you get your simple tip mechanism with plastic gears and everything, it's decent, it's not the worst, it's not the best, but yeah, it sure does look a bit robust with all the big clunky switches in here. So yeah, it's definitely alright. This is not something I like. They just have a board up here where all the high voltage stuff is, well, the mains voltage, which isn't really good, but anyways. Let's just get our tape inside this thing. Like so. And rewind it a bit. Now it does appear to be a belt-driven system. I'm not that sure, but judging by where the motor is, yeah, that's normally where the if it would be a belt-driven system. Just having a belt underneath the whole unit, and that's it. Now I don't know if that transformer has gotten loose back there, but as you can see it is on a bit of an angle, so I'm gonna also have a look at that closely. And yeah, probably servicing this thing would maybe be a better idea if I use 12 volts instead of 230. Alright, no auto stop, interesting. Let's press play. And nothing, just like before. Now it has nothing to do with being this tip here in particular. It really has to be something else that has gone wrong, or maybe a broken contact, or I don't know. But I can assure you I used and tried a lot of other tapes, and yeah, I got pretty much exactly the same result. Nothing. Woohoo! So yeah, just gonna go ahead and mess around with this thing, and also clean pretty much all of the moving parts inside this unit. Gonna be interesting. See you in a bit. Well, so me forgot to hook up the speaker in order to actually test the tape. But as you can hear, there should be music playing, and I have the volume set to full, so why is nothing happening? Oh well, let's find out. Well, who would have guessed this was actually quite easy? It just turns out that one of the belts inside the tape recorder was bad, since there are multiple ones in, and it also had some contact issues, which I'm gonna show you right now. We have a dive inside this unit. There's a small switch down here, or actually quite a large switch, the silver rod here. And that gets pressed depending on what action is happening. For example, the record, then that thing gets pressed. And that's, well, the thing had failed. The contact had just corroded, and some contact cleaner did the job because the thing was sticking. And yeah, just maybe poured a little bit too much in there, but doesn't matter. This stuff is not harmful for electronics. Now, as you can tell, it is running a bit slow. and because I'm holding it, it's not running evenly. But yeah, calibrating that is actually quite easily, so we'll do that. Adjust the speed properly on this thing so everything works just fine. Alright, some good news and some bad news. The good news is the tape is now fully functional. I replaced now 2 belts in total, because, well, it felt to me like one of the belts was actually slipping, but it turns out it was not slipping. Now the problem which I'm running into now, and why this is not so great news, is because, well, I need to adjust the tape speed. And there are like 5 potentiometers below this unit and inside, but none of them seem to affect anything of the speed of the tape, and neither is there anything on the motor to do so. So yeah, that is not good, because it sounds horrible when you play it back, and it is really noticeable. And well, of course I searched online, yeah, service manual, sure thing. Well, I did find some service manuals for this, but you are supposed to pay for them. And if you are supposed to pay for something like a service manual for a device that is 30 years old, yeah, you can guarantee that's a fucking rip-off. Nothing else. So, yeah, this is gonna be quite difficult in order to figure this out, where I adjust the speed of the tape. Because, yeah, listening to, let's see if we are already somewhere. It's not running smooth, that is the thing. Now for some reason it sort of works. But it's just not running smooth. It's running way too slow for what it's supposed to be. So yeah, trying to figure that out. Where the hell is the tape speed for this unit? Well, this is as good as I can get the cassette on this thing. As you can hear, it's not running perfect, and this thing also doesn't support metal tapes or whatever. But yeah, well, at least it works. So yeah, I've got that going, which is nice. And for those curious to know how much power this unit is currently pulling, it's about 170 milliamps on 12 volts, since I'm using the power supply. Because, well, having 230 volts inside the whole unit is a little bit dangerous. The tape is just running way too slow, and it's getting slower and slower all the time. I did, however, find the potentiometer that is capable, well, is the one that adjusts the tape speed, which is the one that is here in the back. But the problem is that the motor is broken. That's the thing that's causing the issues. There's some electronics inside of it, which are intensely difficult to get out. It's an absolute mess to try to open this motor, and I'm pretty much just failing at it right now. I've tried to open it up, but the thing is, if I do that, I destroy the entire case of the motor, and I don't really want to do that. So yeah, I'm not sure. It also gets, yeah, it does get actually quite warm, so there's clearly something wrong inside there. So my best guess is either get a new motor, which is quite difficult because I can't find anything for this model. Yes, I do still have the model number for this, so don't worry that I scratched the paper off there. That was by accident. And yeah, I can't find anything for this motor. My best guess would be maybe try to find a motor which is similar to this one, or yeah, open it up and try to replace all the electronics that are inside, which probably would be the best idea. I mean, I do have some quite big motors, but the problem is they are too big, so they wouldn't fit. So yeah, that's quite a bit of a problem right now. And yes, I'm still on it. It is really the motor that is broken, that's the only thing. But I found a temporary fix. This, again, it's just temporary, it's not gonna be for the time, because well, I ordered a new motor and it takes some time to be delivered. And yeah, I'm a bit impatient because I want this thing to work properly. So I dug out another stereo, which is also made by Sharp, which has a very similar tape mechanism, which was actually the device that I fixed in a previous video. And the motor is almost exactly the same. Only advantage it's got, it has an adjustment for the speed. It also runs around 12 volts. It gets a little bit more, but that could just be due to some components in here malfunctioning or whatever. But yeah, that is a 12 volt cassette motor. It is running on the exact same voltage, and yeah, that should work. The only difference is that the pulley, which is here mounted with a small screw on the axis of the motor, the pulley wheel, come on, focus. On that motor it is heat shrunk onto it, which means I have to heat the whole thing up, pull the pulley off, and then I can stick the other one onto it, because the tape mechanism in this one, they managed to do it with one belt, which is a bit impressive actually, considering a lot more belts in this unit. In total we have 1, 2, 3, 4 belts. Yeah, you could have done that with less. And well, considering that these units also are made around the same time, it's a little bit weird that they use such different tape mechanisms when there are quite a bit of similarities in between them. Really odd. So well, turns out it's actually possible, since those two motors turn into the same direction. I had to have the mark the polarity on this one here on the back, because well, there's nothing that actually shows what polarity it has. And these motors seem to be almost identical. This one is a little bit smaller, but the spacing of the screws and everything is exactly the same. Only thing, I won't be able to use this bracket here anymore, or I'm not sure. I'll find that out later. And yeah. Now, just don't worry. I'm not. What I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna sacrifice this whole unit just to make this one here work. What I'm gonna do is actually I'm just taking the motor out of this one, putting it into this one, just to make sure if everything works, so I can assemble this one fully. Later then I will take the new motor that I ordered and place it inside this unit. So don't worry. Everything is going to be fine. I'm not going to sacrifice one of these units just so that one works and the other one will go in the trash. That's not what I'm intending. So yeah, both of these at the end of this project will be fully functional again. So yeah, let's first of all let's get this thing here off. As you can see, this is there's no screw on here. So the first question is, how are you supposed to get that off? Easy. Blowtorch. And it's the same way how they actually mounted this. This thing was heated to quite a high temperature, and then they just placed that over the shaft, and because metal when it gets hot expands, they were able to shove it on here, and when it cooled down it tightened up, and it's very tight on that shaft. Some companies also even use glue. Now this is a 2mm shaft, and this hole will be slightly smaller, so that's how they do it. And yeah, I personally prefer this method, whether you have the simple screw on there, but the problem is that this can slip if the screw gets loose or anything else happens or something wears out. So yeah, let's just do this then. You've got to be careful to not overheat it. It seems to already have the right temperature. That smoke what you're seeing is nothing from the motor, that is just old rubber that was on here because I cleaned this unit. You can see it here on the back. And yeah, the belt in this unit melted, and that's what caused this. So yeah, just gonna clean that shaft up there and place the other one on here, and we'll see if that works. Right, and as you can see, everything does fit very snugly in here. There's just one thing that I have to do, and that is, well, since this motor here had a connection directly from the side to ground, or the negative side to ground, there is now a hissing in the background. You can hear that if I take the tape out and press play and turn off the volume. You can hear this. Now this stops as soon as I place the negative pin on the shielding and also connect it to the motor. But mostly it's just the bare metal that is necessary, and as you can hear, it's gone. Okay, well, and even after applying some contact spray to the motor itself and the electronics that are inside, yes, it actually is the motor also that it's broken, which is weird, since this is the first time for me that actually tape motors have broken, and yes, even when going fast forward and reverse, it's still there, and you can also notice that on the power supply. Let's go back to play. Now for some reason it just is doing it consistently, which is weird. Don't know why. But what was happening is that every single time the motor was getting slower or faster, so my assumption is that pretty much both of these tape motors are broken. And yeah, that's the reason why both of these have issues and aren't working properly. So two motors is probably the best option. I hope that the motor that I ordered is the one that goes into the correct direction. Now I've hooked this thing up to mains power, and I'm running now the tape motor off my power supply. And as you can see, we have the same issue as before, where the speed is now jumping up and down. Or it's always running a bit faster and a bit slower, and maybe this time it's possible to observe that on the power supply. And as the current drops, it runs faster. And as the current increases, it runs slower. So yeah, there's something wrong with the electronics also inside this unit. Probably just because of age, but the thing is, it's weird because this is the first time I've actually seen tape motors fail. I mean, pretty much all of my other electronics, nothing like this has happened. Alright, so it's sort of working. The motor still is having a bit of issues when it drops its speed, but it regenerates that quite fast actually. But the real thing why I want a motor that has an adjustment on it is, wow, that's getting quite hot. And that's just pulling 200 milliamps, that's really weird. Now the thing is why I want a motor that has an adjustment on it itself is the problem. First of all, this device runs on batteries, 12 volts or 230 volts. Now the problem is that potentiometer down there is only good for adjusting it when you're running it with the mains voltage, which is absolutely stupid because you can raise the voltage up to almost 19 volts when this thing is running. But as soon as you plug in your 12 volt lead or your batteries, which in the end will also be around 12 volts, there is no way that you are going to get more than 12 volts total for this motor to run. A bit worried that it's getting so warm. This one didn't get that hot, but it's not pulling a lot of current. Weird. Anyways, yeah. So it could just be that the problem is that the motor is about to fail, and that's the reason why it's heating up so much. But that's really, really hot. I'm pretty sure that some of you maybe were curious on what exactly failed in that tape motor that was inside this unit, and well, it's quite hard to actually find that out, since I have now finally managed to disassemble the motor, and it turns out that there is not a small circuit inside, which should actually be, because, well, the only way you can adjust the speed on this one is through voltage. But it just doesn't speed up to the correct speed when it's a bit under load, and yeah. The motor itself has 3 shells. I mean, this shell is to mount it. This one is probably shielding, and yes, you can see I was a bit brutal on that because it would not come apart. It was everything stuck. So yeah, let's have a closer look at here, and I maybe know what has failed. Now, yeah, this is just the simple motor, nothing too fancy, and it appears to have some weights or so on the bottom to adjust the speed on it. Now that's something I could maybe use to make it run faster, which, well, that's the brake of this thing. Oh, really weird. Odd. I don't know if that exactly the brake or it does something else, but yeah, let's have a closer look. You might see a white line in there around the magnet, and you might see some small balls on this component. That is solder. Now, what I think that has happened is that when this motor was assembled, or maybe somebody had a go at this and tried to fix it, or I don't know, whatever, because, well, the brushes, they are still fine. There's nothing to worry about those. What I presume is just that some solder balls has dropped down into here, and yeah, they pretty much got grinded with the whole thing. So yeah, that could maybe be it. I'm not that sure, but yeah, still waiting for the new motor to arrive, and then we'll have a closer look. And I do really hope that it is the one that is spinning in the correct direction, because I don't really feel like sending it back and having to go through all that trouble. So yeah, fingers crossed that it actually is what I need. Alright, and as you can see, there is a motor installed in this unit. Now this is the one that also has the turntable in, which is not portable. But as you can see, there is a new motor. And also, well, it would help if I would actually power the thing on. And also switch the power for the power supply on. You can see it's working. Woohoo! I did already check, of course. With this setup I cannot calibrate it, because this circuitry here gives around 14 volts to the motor, which still is in a fully acceptable range. But just to make sure if everything is working, hooking up my power supply and everything, I'm doing like this because, well, I cannot return the motors if I actually solder them in. And yeah, this is now working, which is great. So all that's left to do is, well, hook that motor up to the main unit and install another motor inside this unit. Interestingly, one of the motors came in its original box. It's manufactured by Koenig Electronic. Time to disassemble this whole thing once again, swap out the motor, put in this motor, and then everything will work, hopefully. And here you can see something that I made a bit. Now this is the tape mechanism. As you can see, it's a complete mess, and that's what I pretty much agree with this. This is probably the messiest way I've ever seen someone solve the mechanism for a tape recorder. since, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 belts in total. This unit here runs on one single long belt. So why 4 in this unit? Could of course be that this is a lot older tape unit, but I mean still, that is quite a lot of effort in order to get something like this functional. And I've also taken out those vibration dampening things here, because, well, they are pretty much mostly broken. And as you can also see, I've drilled 2 holes where some screws can go in order to mount the motor. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the shaft of the motor that I ordered is a lot shorter than the motor which was originally in here. So yeah, that's why I gotta use different screws, different mounting holes, and sort of had to drill into the mechanism. And as you can see, I've just gotta go ahead and take out that screw, place this wheel on the new motor, screw that in, first of all test it to see if it's actually working, and then solder it onto the main electronics and of course calibrate it. Now these motors here are new old stock. They have, damn it, birds. They have never been used and were pretty much just lying around in a warehouse, hence why I've also got the original box with them. Bubble wrap containing 30-year-old air. Doesn't work. Oh well. Now what I've got to do, take this, put that on here, leave a small gap down there. Come on, there we go. And tighten up that screw. And with this on there, there's a small gap also on the bottom, since this motor is a little bit different than the original one, but it will fit just fine. All I've got to do now is place it in here like so, with probably the circuit board facing down in this direction, because that's how the cable length is and how it was originally intended, how the motor should be mounted. And all that's left, screw it in! Yay! Okay, the new motor is installed. Let's see what happens. I have hooked this thing up to mains power, and I've got my 12-volt clamp here. It's a bit difficult to actually place that in there, but if I get a good connection you can see that it's spinning in the correct direction. This is how it should look. And that pulls a total of 100 milliamps. That seems about to be accurate. And of course, it's this motor here is going to pull a bit more power, because, well, there are more belts in here, there is more stuff going on. Whereas in the other one, let's just hook that up real quick. We are only pulling 60 milliamps with the tape inserted. Well, actually, no, 3. If we start the tape mechanism and everything, we're still pulling 60 milliamps. So this here needs more power than the other one. Just try this again with the tape. You will hear some static noises. That's because this ground plane here is not connected to ground at the moment, since, well, I'm still in the phase of testing, making sure that everything works. with the tape we are pulling 100 milliamps. And the speed is fairly constant. So it's not the mechanism that's broken. So well, since we now know that all of this is working, it's time to solder everything in. And with the motor soldered in, you're probably able to hear it's just running a bit slow, but that can be very easily adjusted now. Now there's a very slight problem at the moment. The problem is that the motor is not running fast enough, even on its highest setting. Now, it could be that the original motor did a little more with the RPM that this thing is capable of, but I also figured out that you can run the whole thing of one belt, which is good. So that is definitely also possible. So what I'm thinking is that I just get myself a bigger wheel, put that on the motor and see how that turns out, since that should increase the RPM in total. Okay, and I have installed a new wheel on the motor itself, as you can see, and I've also used a new belt, one that is the correct size to fit all this system. Now, since these wheels turn in the same direction, it really should not matter if I do this. It is probably, or maybe not even the best solution, but it works. I've already tested it and it runs just fine. Now, since this wheel on the motor is a lot bigger than the one that was originally on it, I'm hoping that this will increase the speed of what the whole unit is running on. Gotta figure out what got stuck there, because I had to also extend this cable because it broke. Ah yeah, Murphy's Law is entertaining. Guess what? It's running too fast. Awesome. Meaning I have to take that thing off again, try a different one. This one is also now slightly bigger. Let's hope that this time it works, because the one that's currently on there is a lot bigger. So yeah, fingers crossed. Well, as you can see, I've put in the new pulley and the new drive wheel. And well, since this one allows that you can put two belts on it, well, I of course put two belts on it again, just like before. And it's running on the correct speed. Wow. So much Murphy's Law later. Having one that was too big, one that was too small, and now it works, finally. Just like it should. And it's pulling a bit less current than before. So yeah. Since I'm running it now at a lower speed, so of course it's gonna pull less current. So well, time to put everything back together. And hopefully everything stays as it is right now. Alright, on with the unit assemble again. Let's have a listen. Now the speed is at the correct rate, tape is moving continuously in there, and everything seems to be finally fully functional again. Now just for fun, I tried, Amazon opened something new last month, so I thought, hey, try it out. This is a Amazon Prime Now bag. So, well, What do we have inside it? We have some D-cell batteries, which are the correct size for this, although I need 3 more, which I do have. And, get this out of the way, one of these. Just a simple cassette adapter. Just, well, if I want to go out and somebody doesn't like the music that I'm playing on this, they can just stick this inside there. Now, the idea normally of these is that you just stick them into your car radio. There are no real... Well, there are actually gears in here, but just 2, and on the front we just have a small tape head. Now, I have to put it in side A up on my unit. Actually, trying to get this in there is a little more difficult than I thought. But there we go. I can plug pretty much anything into the unit and listen to music that is not saved on a tape. But hey, for the last thing, let's do something fun. Turn this off, switch the thing on, and we're switching on the TV at the moment. Gonna take a minute to warm up. As you can see, it's already displaying static. Now let's do something really cool. Now, since I've mentioned that there is an antenna port in the back, I can plug something in. And we can hook some stuff up to this. Well, 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 what do we have here? A Commodore 64! Woohoo! There we go. And here we are. Now, since this is an analog TV and the Commodore 64 puts out an analog video signal, no worries! So that's just gonna work a treat. Let's load some stuff up. So let's just quickly load something up, type run. And we can use this now as a display. Ah yeah, the good old days. When TV equipment, well, your computer, took minutes to load and not seconds. Well, yeah. And there we go, we have Life Force. Woohoo! Let's see if we can get some nice music. No music? Aww. Oh, but you get the idea. Yay, shooting bad guys. No! Get away from me, you creep! Woohoo! So yeah, that's pretty much it. A simple fix of this awesome portable stereo. Or maybe even a ghetto blaster or boombox. Thank you for watching and goodbye.